Hey everyone, it's Saturday, November 25th. It's about 26, 27 degrees out here, so it's a little chilly. There's a slight breeze. And as you can see, we've had a little bit of snow. So I need to get my sugar shims on the rest of these hives. And I'm also going to wrap a little bit of tar paper around them. So I've got shims in the back. I'm going to put my entrance reducers on and wrap a little tar paper around all my hives. These that are spaced a little bit apart, I'm going to push them all together so they're all nice and snug up against each other. And then I'll wrap a little bit of tar paper. So better get going. It's chilly out here. As you can see, we've had maybe 2 inches of snow total. It's pretty wet. So I'm going to have to scrape a little bit of this ice off the hives. And I'll just set you here and you can watch what I'm doing for a minute. It's not too much, but I usually have all this done by now, but I just haven't been able to get out and do everything I've needed to do, so it's pretty good. Some people worried that I'm opening up a hive in this cold weather. I don't think there's a problem at all with it. The bees might not be very happy, so I'm going to put my veil on just so I don't have anybody coming up in my face. Usually do this pretty quick. As long as you're not leaving the hive open and really digging into it, you can crack a lid and see what's going on without disturbing the bees too much. Everybody's down below, so no problem. Oh, I can hear them in there, so that's going to go on there like that. So you may notice that, yep, that I've put a piece of styrofoam on top of these sugar shims, just more as an experiment. I've never done it this way. I've seen lots of people do that, so I'm going to try. Get that to stay on there for a minute. All right. Now, those lids are pretty loose, but they won't be when I get done with them. So this is just 15-pound tar paper. And all I do I can hear the bees in there. good. So it's going to have to stay there for a second. Now, I'm not going to get too. I'm going to go down just above the bottom board. Put a staple there. Same on the other side. Try to pull that kind of tight, as tight as I can get it. Now, all I really do is cut this corner. Flaps in. Tuck the top down. Do the same to the front. So there's my hives wrapped up. Don't worry about wrapping them all the way. Just up and over the top and a couple of staples, and that's enough. My fingers are freezing out here. Let's slide these together. Get to slide them together and get a feel for how heavy they are. Not too bad, but I'd like them a little heavier. There we go. Good. Brought my other gloves. Oh, wait a minute. Haven't put sugar shims on those yet. Getting way ahead of myself here. Getting way ahead of myself here. So I got light. Light. There's a buzz in there. All right. Now I guess. Right. And there are those that would say this isn't necessary, and I somewhat agree. Some years I've done this and some years I haven't, and I've had my bees survive both ways, but I kind of like doing this. I think it gives them just a little bit of wind protection. And it kind of keeps some of the snow off the hive body. And then on a sunny day, it gives them a degree or two of thermal radiation. Will help warm the hive just a little bit. They don't get, it's not like it's insulating the hive. I know it's not doing that, but they get a bit of solar gain off of it. My fingers are freezing. It's cold out here. Do that. Just that much movement. The bees are saying, hey, what's going on here? They are coming out. They're not happy about that. It's interesting because it's pretty chilly out here. Now, I'll have to be as gentle and quick as I can with these ladies. Well, they are not up top. They are a buzz in there. So this hive's going to get the extra foam board in the sugar shim, and this one's doesn't have the foam board. We'll see if it makes much difference come spring. So a little bit of an experiment. Not sure if it's going to matter. The other hive was disturbed. Look at this one. These ladies are not happy that I'm bugging them. And they're falling in the snow, and I can't do a whole lot about it other than just get in and get out. So we're going to do that. Nice cluster of bees, but I don't want to see them on the outside. All right, all done. 2, 3, 2, and 2. And these bees are slowly working their way back in. Not this other hive that was bearding on the front quite a bit. They've all but just a few left out front, trying to find their way back in. All right, we're at the next yard. Got 6 hives here, doing the same thing. Push them together, put the sugar shims on, throw the tar paper over them, throw an entrance reducer in, and that'll be it. So, gotta get going, it's getting cold. This hive right here was a little bit light. Oh, he's not light now, though. I fed them quite a bit. Oh, those are plenty heavy. I was a little worried these hives were going to burn through too many stores because it's been so warm. But I don't think I've got to worry about that now. It's done quite well. I really think that having some upper insulation on these hives is maybe better for them. And a smaller entrance. In nature, the hollow of a tree has a lot of insulation up above and more insulation on the sides than what we provide in a Langstroth box. So I used to overwinter with the same configuration just like this, but I always left an upper entrance and I didn't have any insulation up here in the top. And I'm becoming more and more convinced that some insulation and a smaller entrance. I used to leave my entrances open. And I've overwintered bees just like that, and they've been just fine. And I've had good success doing that. There for a couple of years, I didn't lose a single hive, and that's the way I did it. But I'm not convinced that that's best for the bees. So I'm trying this year with some extra insulation. I'm kind of liking the Reflectix on the top, right underneath the outer cover. It's not a ton of insulation, but I think it provides just a little bit of a thermal barrier. In the summer, I think it keeps a little bit of the heat out, and in the winter, hopefully it keeps a little bit of the heat in. So I did a few hives similar to this last year, and they did well. So I think that's what we're going to do. The cluster is starting down here, and as they work their way up, all that warm, moist air is going to rise. It's going to hit that insulation on the top and not condense because it's warm. It's relatively warm. And then move to the outside, and as that warm, moist air hits this outside, it'll condense on the outside walls. And that's okay. So it's not going to hurt the bees if it's out here on the outside wall. This middle wall right here between these two hives, interestingly enough, these two hives, this hive, you'd think the cluster would just stay right here, and this hive, you'd think it'd just stay right here. Really what happens is these two clusters, they cluster right here during the winter. And it's surprisingly, that's what they do. They can tell there's a temperature difference with the hive next to them, and they'll migrate to that center. So even though there's some cracks between the hives, it's still warmer between them, and those bees will cluster right here in this middle for much of the winter, and then hopefully come spring they can warm up a little bit. Around here in our area, it's kind of hard to tell now, but we live we call it the Uent Basin. So there's mountains all the way around. These up here on the north side are the Uent Mountains, stretching clear over into Colorado, clear down south of Price area, or just north of Price area, and this way clear into past Duchesne to what we call Strawberry Reservoir and Daniels Canyon over to the west. So we have mountains all the way around us, and what that does to us is creates a bit of a bowl in the basin, and that's why we call it the Uent Basin. And that bowl traps cold air, and so when storms come through and the temperatures drop, that cold air settles down into the bottom of that bowl. Well, that's where we live, and it stays pretty cold down here during the winter. We're not quite like the Wasatch Front, where they get days where they get into the 40s, in the middle of winter, and because of that bowl that we have out here, the cold air just settles in and stays in the bottom, and it takes a pretty good storm to flush it out and get the atmosphere mixed up enough to flush that cold air out. So sometimes we get socked in with cold and fog, and we don't see the sun, and we don't see any temperature changes. Sometimes we don't get above freezing for weeks on end, and sometimes, most of the time, we don't get above freezing for weeks on end. And but sometimes we get fogged in here, and we don't even see the sun for weeks. So these bees aren't going to have a chance for a cleansing flight. Probably, here we are, the end of November, none in December, none in January, Maybe if we get lucky, we'll have a day in February, but it's probably until March before these bees actually get a cleansing flight, and that's a long time. So they're going to be the next 3 months at least. If it was like last year we were clear into April before they really got a chance to have a good cleansing flight. Some of the carniolans took advantage of slightly warmer days and took cleansing flights a little bit earlier, but the Italians, it was April. It was the 1st of April before they even had a cleansing flight, so they were really ready for it, and hopefully we don't have that again this year. But so anyway, like I say, our temperatures out here are a little bit, they're not like Salt Lake Valley and that area. We get socked in with cold, and we're cold the rest of the winter. So we're there now, 26-ish, 25, 26, somewhere around there. And it's probably not going to get too much warmer. We'll see 30s next week, but that's probably as warm as we're going to get until March. So enjoy the winter.